I still remember the night my account hit zero, not with a bang, but with a whisper that echoed through every empty corner of my apartment. The screen glowed an unforgiving red, the final numbers frozen like a gravestone inscription, and I sat there in the suffocating dark, my heart pounding so violently I could hear it drowning out the low hum of the cooling fans. That wasn't just money evaporating, it was years of sleepless nights hunched over flickering charts, countless family dinners I'd skipped while chasing the next setup, and the quiet, burning belief that I was destined for something extraordinary, something that would finally silence the doubts whispering in the back of my mind. All of it gone, and one stubborn, pride-fueled hold that I refused to close. I didn't scream, I didn't hurl the keyboard across the room in rage, I just stared, feeling the crushing weight of every single "I know better" I'd ever muttered to myself like a mantra. That moment didn't just break my bankroll, it shattered something deeper inside me. And in the ruins, it rebuilt me stronger, wiser, and forever changed. Because the market didn't steal my capital, it mercilessly exposed the hairline fractures in my soul, the arrogance I'd mistaken for confidence, the emotional leaks I'd patched with denial. And if you're watching this right now, fingers hovering over your own trembling trigger, heart racing at the edge of your personal abyss, know this with every fiber of your being: I've been exactly where you are, drowning in the silence after the storm, and I'm still here, scarred but standing, reaching back to pull you from the wreckage before it claims you too. Most traders don't collapse under the crushing weight of missing knowledge or secret strategies. They shatter irreparably when the raw, unfiltered truth stares them down with indifferent eyes, and they're the ones who blink first, who flinch, who look away. That truth is ice cold, merciless, and profoundly deaf to every excuse you've ever rehearsed, how many high-priced seminars you've attended, how many legendary gurus you've quoted verbatim, how many custom indicators you've layered onto your charts like impenetrable armor. None of it, not a single line of code or whispered tip, matters one iota if in the split-second crucible when the chart turns viciously against you, your finger hesitates on the exit button, paralyzed by the terror of admitting you were wrong. I've watched grown men with Ivy League MBAs, million-dollar watch collections, and corner offices reduced to pleading desperately with a screen that never pleads back, never negotiates, never offers a single shred of mercy. The market doesn't send courtesy emails or gentle reminders. It simply, efficiently, and without fanfare, erases you from the game. And the cruelest, most soul-crushing part? The overwhelming majority who vanish into obscurity do so not from one catastrophic headline-making blunder, but from 1,000 tiny, insidious betrayals of their own solemnly sworn rules. They violate discipline like it's an optional suggestion, treat risk like it's an infinite resource, and when the final position implodes in a cascade of red, they gasp in theatrical shock, as if the outcome was ever, even for a moment, in doubt. I've lived both sides of that brutal equation with my own sweat and tears. I've built seven-figure swings that felt like divine destiny unfolding in real time, only to watch them evaporate into nothingness because I let ego whisper seductively in my ear, "This time is different. This setup is special. You're special." It never is. The patterns are eternal, unforgiving, and repeat with the precision of a metronome. Men and women storm into the arena drunk on hope and adrenaline, stumble out hollowed by regret and self-loathing. They chase flickering candles in the pitch dark, ignore the blazing lighthouse of logic beaming directly in their face, and hand their fate over to strangers on the internet who don't even know their risk tolerance. The tape screams the unvarnished truth in every tick. They cover their ears, squeeze their eyes shut, and do the exact opposite. This isn't a psychic hotline or a crystal ball gazing contest. It's a relentless battlefield where execution is the only currency that cashes, and your opinion is nothing but background noise. Your action, precise, disciplined, unflinching, is the only thing that counts. And if that reality stings like salt in an open wound right now, good, because the market will carve it deeper into your bones later if you don't wake up and listen while there's still time. Every single trader's origin story begins with the same intoxicating exhilaration that feels like touching electricity for the first time. You fund the brokerage account with trembling hands, place that first timid order, and the price ticks in your favor almost immediately. A modest green candle blooms on the screen, a notification pings like a victory bell, and suddenly you're floating on a cloud of invincibility, untouchable, anointed, the chosen one who cracked the unbreakable code on attempt number 1. I felt it too, viscerally. My first bucket shop win hit like a bolt of dopamine lightning straight to the veins. I strutted out of that dingy, smoke-filled office convinced I'd outsmarted the entire machinery of Wall Street before I'd even finished my morning coffee. That rush wasn't education or enlightenment. It was pure, unadulterated seduction. It rewarded chaos and randomness, then slapped a shiny skill label on what was nothing more than sheer blind luck. The deadliest trap in all of trading is mistaking a fortunate coin flip for sustainable genius. That illusion burns arrogance faster than any drug, and arrogance writes checks that your fragile discipline can't possibly cash without bouncing spectacularly. You scale up your position size prematurely, abandon every shred of structure you swore you'd follow, and chase the ghost of that first euphoric high like an addict. But the market keeps no sentimental ledger of your past favors or early triumphs. It doesn't salute your earlier P&L statements or pat you on the back for beginner's luck. It reacts only to the price unfolding in front of it right now, and to the trembling, sweat-slicked hand behind the trigger. When I finally graduated from those rigged sandbox games in the bucket shops to the real, unregulated exchanges, the illusion shattered like glass under a hammer. Execution lagged behind my impulses. Spreads gobbled up my supposed edges like a hungry beast, and my system dissolved into worthless vapor like sugar dissolving in pouring rain. Capital bled out faster than I could refresh the screen or catch my breath. The strategy itself didn't fail. My refusal to respect scale, to honor the hierarchy of confirmation, did. Confidence without a rock-solid scaffolding of rules and processes is just naked, reckless risk wearing a superhero cape. The traders who manage to survive past that first treacherous year aren't the Ivy League prodigies with perfect SAT scores or the YouTube prophets with million subscriber channels. They're the quiet, relentless obsessives who treat every stinging loss like a sacred autopsy performed under harsh fluorescent lights. Early wins teach nothing but vanity and overconfidence. A loss that burns deep enough to scar, if you dare to dissect it honestly and without mercy, forges armor that no online course or paid mentorship can ever sell you. Picture this vivid scene unfolding in your mind. A position drifting into the red, just a few innocent ticks at first, nothing dramatic enough to sound alarms. You stare at the screen, pulse quickening like a trapped animal, telling yourself it's just a minor hiccup, a temporary exhale in an otherwise bullish trend. Markets breathe, you whisper reassuringly to your reflection in the monitor. You zoom out the time frame to find comfort in higher highs, frantically hunt for any scrap of bullish news on Twitter, bargain silently with the indifferent gods of probability. hope creeps in like carbon monoxide, silent, sweet, invisible, and absolutely lethal. The drawdown deepens inch by inexorable inch. Your conviction doesn't deepen with it, it erodes. The loss metastasizes from a minor financial inconvenience to something existential, a threat to your very identity as a trader. Closing it now would mean tattooing the word failure across your forehead in permanent ink. So you hold on tighter, knuckles white. I held once, way beyond my predefined stop-loss that I'd sworn was ironclad. I had a whole elaborate story to justify it. Overblown short interest data, misunderstood macro currents, temporary noise from some irrelevant economic report. All of it was pure fiction, a bedtime story I told myself to sleep at night. The truth was a single, unforgiving line of code I refused to execute: the exit order. That one act of defiance, that single moment of prideful stubbornness, cost me more in cold hard dollars than the previous 5 winning trades had earned me combined. It wasn't just a loss, it was a confession of character. A small loss is nothing more than a routine transaction, a cost of doing business. A large one is a confession of weakness, a surrender to emotion. The difference between the two is measured in heartbeats, those precious, agonizing seconds you gift to the market, while your own rules gather dust in the corner, forgotten. The elite traders, the ones who compound quietly for decades, don't win the most trades, they lose the absolute least. They amputate bleeding positions with surgical calm and precision, no eulogy or second-guessing required, because they've internalized the brutal, unforgiving math of survival. If you can't stomach a shallow paper cut today, you'll be forced to bleed out from the arterial gash tomorrow, the one you're too proud, too hopeful, too stubborn to cauterize while it's still manageable. Systems aren't sexy or glamorous. They're salvation incarnate. Most traders wing it through the chaos, relying on gut feels that shift with the wind, Twitter whispers from anonymous accounts, the intoxicating scent of FOMO that clouds judgment like fog. They're not trading, they're skydiving without a parachute and calling it controlled flight. I used to be that reckless skydiver, hard in throat. Saw a stock gap up on massive volume, felt the electric tingle of opportunity, and mashed the buy button without a second thought. Sometimes the parachute opened at the last second. More often, I cratered into the ground at terminal velocity. The real hemorrhage, the slow bleed that nearly ended me, wasn't from the losing trades themselves. It was from the schizophrenia of inconsistency. No baseline to measure against, no metric for success or failure, no way to separate genuine signal from the noise of self-delusion. I was nothing more than a gambler in a tailored suit, posture perfect, but foundation rotten. Then, in the ashes of another blown account, I built the cage that saved my life. Entry criteria sharp as surgical scalpels, risk per trade capped at a level that wouldn't wake me up sweating at 3 a.m. Stops placed exactly where the original thesis died a natural death. Exits triggered by immutable structure rather than fleeting serotonin hits. It was simple, repeatable, and unequivocally mine. It wasn't genius or rocket science. It was guardrails on a cliff's edge. Without it, every candle became a referendum on my worth as a human being. With it, doubt dissolved into pure process, emotion quarantined behind bars of logic. You don't ascend to consistent profitability by prophesizing tops and bottoms like some market oracle. You ascend by responding to what is actually happening right now, again and again and again, until consistency compounds into real, tangible wealth that you can touch and feel and reinvest. Emotions don't roar like lions, they seduce like sirens, whispering sweet nothings that lead you straight onto the rocks. Fear paralyzes when red ink blooms across the screen, not because the dollars hurt yet, but because being wrong feels like existential treason against your own identity. Greed slithers in on the back of green candles, convincing you the original plan was too timid, that destiny itself wants you to squeeze every last possible tick out of the move. I've exited winners prematurely because my stomach knotted with anxiety. I've ridden losers into oblivion because closing felt like personal surrender, like admitting defeat to an invisible enemy. Each betrayal of my rules carved a deeper scar into my psyche, but scars teach lessons that smooth skin never learns. Discipline isn't stoicism or emotional numbness, it's sovereignty over your own mind. It's the muscle that moves decisively when terror screams, "Stay still," that locks the gate when euphoria begs for just one more lotto ticket. You can't amputate feeling entirely, nor should you, but you can quarantine it, contain it, prevent it from piloting the plane. The traders who endure for decades don't feel less than the rest of us. They obey more, consistently, ruthlessly, without exception. Position size is the silent assassin that creeps up unnoticed until it's too late. The pervasive myth that bigger bets automatically equal bigger payoffs has cremated more dreams and accounts than any prolonged bear market ever could. Risk isn't about being right more often. It's about surviving being wrong long enough to let the math work in your favor. I never went all in on a maybe, never committed more than a pinky toe until the market itself confirmed my thesis with action. Add to winners only after they've proven themselves, never to prayers or hopes. Overtrading is just FOMO in frantic motion, compulsive activity masquerading as edge when it's really just friction burning through capital. Some of my fattest, most life-changing paydays came from 3 meticulously selected setups executed with monk-like precision while the hyperactive crowd hemorrhaged their accounts on 30 sloppy, impulsive ones. Patience isn't passive avoidance. It's predatory calculation, waiting for the perfect alignment before striking. Losses are tuition in the school of hard knocks, and the market is the strictest professor you'll ever have. Blaming the Fed, the algos, some surprise news event, or just plain bad luck is the coward's exit interview from reality. I once vaporized an entire month's grind in a single misadventure born of overconfidence. Instead of rage quitting or spiraling into despair, I printed the chart in full color, annotated every single violation of my rules in red ink, and grilled myself like a hostile prosecutor in a courtroom drama. That autopsy was brutal and uncomfortable, but the clarity that followed made me exponentially stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Denial is the most expensive luxury a trader can afford. Honest reflection is compounded equity that grows over time. Waiting is the ultimate power move in a world that rewards speed over accuracy. The compulsion to always be in the market, to always have skin in the game, is nothing more than a toddler tantrum in a grown-up brokerage account. My best compounding years were built on glorious, deliberate inactivity, passing on B-grade setups that didn't meet my stringent criteria while my capital sat safe and sound, compounding in peace. Activity generates friction and heat. Precision generates wealth. There is a profound difference between being active and being productive. You are not paid for the number of trades you make. You are paid for the accuracy and quality of the trades you do make when the moment is undeniably right. Tips from others are Trojan horses filled with hidden liabilities. I've chased sure things from silver-tongued strangers and woken up holding the empty bag while they moved on to the next mark. The tape never lies. Borrowed conviction always does, eventually, and without fail. Study the legends, absorb the history, but when the order fires and real money is on the line, the decision must be yours and yours alone, born from your system, your analysis, and your readiness to accept the outcome, win or lose, without excuses. Cut your losses short and let your profits run isn't just poetry or a catchy slogan. It's the oxygen that keeps your account breathing. Fear snatches winners prematurely out of terror of giving back gains. Hope nurses losers long past their expiration date in the delusional belief that the market owes you a reversal. Master that fundamental asymmetry and you've already lapped 90% of the field who can quote the rule but crumble when it matters most. If you've absorbed every word this far, you're not like most traders. Most scroll past uncomfortable truth in search of the next shiny holy grail or magic indicator. You chose the mirror, the hard reflection, the path less traveled. The edge isn't secret or hidden behind paywalls. It's strenuous, demanding, and requires daily discipline. Internalize these immutable laws: ruthless loss cutting without hesitation, patient profit harvesting without interference, systematic execution that removes guesswork, emotional containment that prevents sabotage, disciplined sizing that preserves capital, reflective analysis of every loss to extract wisdom, strategic stillness that avoids friction, and sovereign decision-making that trusts only your own process. And the market transforms from a ruthless executioner into a fair partner that rewards consistency. It will still hurt sometimes, it will still humble you repeatedly, but it will no longer own you or define you. I'm not just reciting abstract rules from a textbook. I'm confessing scars earned in the trenches, paid for in blood, sweat, and countless sleepless 3 a.m. stares at a ceiling that offered no absolution or comfort. I share them not from a pedestal, but from the mud, because someone once dragged me out of the wreckage when I was too broken to stand, and now it's my turn to pay that forward. Subscribe right now, like this video, and drop a raw, honest comment below. Tell me your darkest trading sin, your most painful loss, or your hardest won truth that changed everything. Every single interaction pushes this antidote further into the timeline, saves another soul from the abyss I barely crawled out of myself. The market isn't the ultimate villain in your story. Your unexamined habits, your unchecked emotions, your refusal to evolve. Those are the real enemies. Excise them with surgical honesty and unrelenting commitment, and what reflects back from the mirror of the market won't just be growing profits, it'll be the unbreakable, unflinching trader you were always meant to become, forged in fire and tempered by truth. Stay savage in your discipline, stay structured in your process, and never, ever forget, the tape is merciless and indifferent, but so is the version of you that finally decides to listen, to act, and to win on your own terms.